So you say you speak to these classes of people and so on. So, for example, when you mention gold nuggets, if the ministerial committee that was responsible for clamping down on illegal mining does not make a report that the task force has seized gold nuggets and it cannot find it, how do you get in there? Who is complaining to you that gold nuggets have been seized, for which you go in, zero in on such an activity?
You see, in our setup, we shouldn't be confused with some existing institutions. You know, the OSP is the first of its kind. We have never had an institution like the OSP in our history. Its powers are far-reaching and very biting indeed. And sometimes I have to restrain myself in order not to show my hand.
And that's deliberate for a purpose.
Yes, in order
we have
not
all come to a conclusion that the Attorney General, because it's a political office, cannot prosecute his own, and so on and so forth. I have personally spoken to former Attorney General who tell me that you can't say that I should prosecute my colleague that I sit in cabinet with. It won't happen.
Yes.
So we decide that we need a special prosecutor who has the independence, particularly of the tenure of office, so that nobody can remove you at their whim. So that's why you are there.
Yes.
Very special.
Yes. And you see, it dovetails into what I'm saying. It is a very unique institution with powers that people are now trying to understand. On so many occasions, people don't take their time to understand. I mean, you may have your opinion, you may talk about me, you may cast all manner of aspersions and vituperations at me. There are some in the system who have not been to law school before, but they think they know law better than law professors and Supreme Court judges. But that is aside. The thing with us, as I said, people should not confuse us with some existing institutions. We do not need specific complainants. Specific answer to your question. We do not need any specific complainants to move. Indeed, the law even says that just a newspaper publication, just an article someone put somewhere, just a suggestion someone may even put on Facebook or Twitter or something, should trigger our minds to start looking for things, to start investigating things. So where we sit, we do not need someone to specifically come to us complaining that this person sees my gold nugget and I can't find it. And newspaper publications all over the place, all over the years. And so we cannot be irresponsible and sit back without going after these things. Now, if the president establishes an interministerial committee, later on the president dissolves it, and there are all manner of allegations against this committee, this dissolved committee, we are already doing our investigations in respect of corruption and corruption-related matters regarding Galamsey. And then, an aspect of it, as you read from my publication, way back in October 2022, an aspect was the way this committee was handled and why it was dissolved, and the problems associated with this committee. Once again, I'll reiterate, every person who was an officer of this committee is my target. Because the allegations against this committee. And so, you do not cloak yourself with immunity, as far as I'm concerned, because someone puts out a report. That report comes to my attention. That is part of my investigation. But merely because someone puts out a report doesn't mean the person is then insulated from the process of the investigation. Now, at the end of the day, as I keep saying, I will then decide who to use as what. If at the end of the investigation I decide that something, we should use something as, we decide that maybe we have to prosecute some people. And then I will decide the way this investigation went and the way the information came to us, let's use something as a prosecution witness. And we would approach you and see if we could use you as a prosecution witness. Or not necessarily because we think you haven't committed anything, but we think that maybe you are a smaller fish to catch a bigger fish. But in the middle of the investigation, when the investigation is so live and ongoing, everyone is fair game for us.
Right. In respect of that, actually, your provision on plea bargain actually gives you a lot of room to decide that somebody may be guilty, but they may be the better option to use to get better results than prosecuting them.
Right.
So you are targeting everyone who was a member of this committee and the people they would have worked with.
Yes.
In the public, when you talk about excavators, we know the issue of excavators that went missing was big. Now, we know there was one individual who was appointed to ferry the excavators from wherever they were found to a central point. We know there was an individual who allegedly gave out a statement, confessed statement, saying that he was receiving the monies and lodging them in bank accounts. So can we say that these people have also been investigated or are being investigated by you?
Samson, I'll repeat again. I said every one of those persons are suspects as far as we are concerned.
They have been arrested, they've been granted bail?
See, I told you that the numbers may run in the hundreds. I said that a few minutes ago. The numbers may run in the hundreds, and so far, those who have come before us are in the tens. So it is a list of people who are going to come one after the other. And you keep talking about arrest. Maybe I should go there. You keep talking about arrest. See, once again, the processes with us. We have full police powers. And people should notice this. Once again, I keep saying that as I withhold my hand so as not to be too biting. You see, sometimes you need information. And if you go too much of a Rambo style, you are not going to get the information that you want. And then again, which is much more important than even considerations of going Rambo style, is that when you're investigating people for corruption and corruption-related matters, their reputations are at stake.
That's correct.
And this is very vital. If you do not take it, you will stigmatize people unfairly. And so, check our record. Unless you give us a cause, a real cause, we won't even publish it out there that we directed you to show up at our end, unless you give us real cause. And when we direct you to come, and you come willingly, we do not publish anything about it, that this person showed up, this person hasn't showed up, this person. We do not do that. But of course, if you give us the cause, if you give us reasonable cause, we will come after you. So, now when we direct you, and you come before us, depending on the nature of the direction, that's what I was trying to explain. Depending on the nature of how we ask you to come, you should know that if you're directed to show up and then you are also told that you should come along with a lawyer of your choice, you are a suspect. And when you come and we interview you, we may ask you to write a statement or not. Now we may ask you to write an ordinary statement. If you're writing an ordinary statement, then it means that at that stage, we are still considering whether indeed you are in the big leagues, or we should treat you as a, maybe we have invited you as a suspect. But in the course of the interrogation, the course of the interview, we may weigh and come to the conclusion at the end that no, this person, let's take an ordinary statement from him and let's see how things go from there. Maybe it can become a confidential source or some form of a whistleblower. But at the end of the day's interview, if we ask you to write a caution statement, or we go beyond to ask you to write, and we take a charge statement from you, automatically you will need bail. These are the processes.
Right.
These are the regular administrative processes we follow through. As I said, mind you, we have full police powers. So just imagine going to a police station and being quizzed, and then you being requested to post bail. It is not out of the ordinary.